And Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. So this change, this shakeup, is this a sign that Donald Trump...
I got to stop you for 1 second, because there's no shakeup. I mean, look at the words that you use and you blast at the bottom in your banner. Shakeup, overhaul, dramatic, desperate measures. There are no desperate measures. You just literally read the memo that you received that Paul Manafort sent out stating he's not going anywhere. The campaign is on its way to victory, and yet you still use these ridiculous words in order to incite something. I mean, please understand that nobody's buying into this anymore. It started out, I don't know if you think it was funny, but these terms are not indicative of what's going on at the campaign. All that Mr. Trump has done is he has added to the existing group of winners that he has hired for the campaign, which is still hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people less than the number of people that the Clinton campaign. So if Hillary Clinton brought somebody in, are you going to use the terms overhaul, desperate measures?
No, yes.
No, you haven't done it once. Okay, because not one person of the 900 people that work for her campaign, not one has left, not one has been promoted or demoted.
No, at the top, actually, we have not seen that. And I will tell you, Michael, that if that happened, we would cover it like that.
And you would never hear about it.
I mean, I disagree with you. And personally, I cover the Clinton campaign. I would be all over that. That would be a huge story. All of the banners that you see right here would be up on the television as well.
All right, so if there's any one person that's watching this show today that used to be with the Clinton campaign, please call in.
All right, well, let me ask you about this. So you say it's not a shakeup, but you guys are down. And it makes sense that there would...
Says who?
Most of them. All of them?
Says who?
Polls. I just told you. I answered your question.
Okay. Which polls?
All of them.
Okay. And your question is? Okay,
so my question is, I don't think it is really surprising when facing a challenge and trying to make a turnaround that there would be some, let's at least say some adjustments, okay? So I guess what my real question is here that I did not get to is, what is the point of this? If you're calling it an expansion of winners, as you put it, working on the campaign, what is it about? To what end?
Well, I think bringing on somebody like Kellyanne Conway was a great move, and it was something, personally, I would have liked to have seen happen earlier, but the campaign wasn't ready for it. Now they are. I think she's a brilliant individual. I think that, she understands the data that's coming in. Look, Hillary Clinton's got 14, I think, or 13 different pollsters that are working on creating her message. So when she talks about usage of a teleprompter by Donald Trump, she would have no clue without her script writers and her teleprompter. It's used in order to keep you on message, very much like you guys do on the morning when you're on television. You use teleprompters because it keeps you on your message. But these are Donald Trump's words. He's going to stay true to who he is, and he's going to end up, in all fairness, he's going to end up winning this election come November because people are seeing through the nonsense.
Does he not want to use the teleprompter? Is that something that we'll see change?
I think in certain circumstances he probably won't use a teleprompter, but I would recommend to him, if he asked me, that I think a teleprompter is absolutely fine to use. He's going to go off message, from time to time, simply based upon the crowd that's there. He's incredibly warm with crowds, and he really knows how to speak to people, which is why he gets these 25 and 30,000, attendees at all of these rallies. I mean, they're not coming there simply because they have no place to go. They want to hear the man's message. He understands the problems of America, which is something that I do not believe Hillary Clinton understands.
So Steve Bannon, I think we can agree. He's come on in a substantial role, okay? I think we can agree on that. So he is on the campaign now in a substantial role, and this is someone, heading up Breitbart News. He's really made it a point to go after the Republican establishment. Paul Ryan, for instance, You have a lot of Republicans who say, look, if Donald Trump is going to try to broaden his appeal, he's going to try to bring in some people in the more moderate region of the political spectrum, he sort of needs to work together with the Republican establishment. But this is someone who's gone against them. So what should people read into this about
I don't think you or anybody should read into it.
Can I finish my question, Michael?
Yeah.
What should people look, I'm asking you to answer this question. What should people think about where this may change Donald Trump's relationship with the quote-unquote establishment GOP?
Okay, it's not going to change anything with Mr. Trump and his relationship to the establishment GOP. It's not going to change anything. He's brought on to fill a purpose, and that's it. He's not the campaign. He is one of many people that are part of the campaign. And, you know, it'll be about messaging, and he comes with a very specific talent. He reaches a large segment of the country. You may not agree with his positions all the time. You may not agree with his positions anytime. The bottom line is it was a decision that was made to bring him on for a specific purpose. He is not the end all of the campaign. There are many people there that are advising Mr. Trump in terms of messaging, in terms of getting out the vote, and in terms of what's necessary to win the election. It's plain and simple.
This is, I think, is a big day, certainly, when it comes to presidential politics, because it's the day where Donald Trump received his first national security intelligence briefing. That's a really big deal. I think it really brings into focus kind of what this is all about and some of the responsibilities of being president. He said this morning that he doesn't trust the current intelligence community. Why did he go for the briefing then, I guess, and how does he relate to them in the future? Because you can't exactly scrap the entire gigantic intelligence community wholesale and go a completely different way if you're president.
And so what's your question?
Okay, well, I asked you a two-parter. So one is, why did he go for the briefing if he doesn't really believe what they say, or he has a lot of questions about their competency?
So I think he's smart to ask a lot of questions. Whatever it is that's going on right now, clearly it's not working. The world is in a worse place than it was 4 years ago, 8 years ago, or 12 years ago. We are not seeing the advantages that, you know, some of the lieutenant generals that are on these shows are talking about. We are not making the great headways and strides that they're trying to tell us. So is he skeptical about some of the information? I guess he is, based upon his own words. But he's every reason. This is what a businessman would do in business. This is what he would do for America. He's skeptical about what is being given to him, and I think that that's a smart way to go.
If he, I guess, makes good on what he said today, which was, he said the people who are your standards, so the kind of go-to intelligence folks in right now who deal with U.S. intelligence, he said he wouldn't be using them. So that's the second part of my question. How does he approach that when he's president? Does he sort of scrap the system as a whole?
I don't know.
Where does he find his counsel?
I'm sure his military advisors will give him a plan that is for the benefit of America, for the benefit of the American people, in order to help to make America great again, and of course to put America first. And I'm sure that they will provide him with all of those answers. He will take those into consideration, and then he will devise a plan.
That's the defense side of things. What about the intelligence side of things?
Again, the same people will probably be advising him on the intelligence side.
Okay, we have much more to talk about, Michael Cohen. If you can just hang tight with me, and we'll talk more after a quick break. And we are back now with Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization and Special Counsel to Donald Trump. Michael Cohen obviously knows Donald Trump very well, so we certainly appreciate you being on to continue this conversation, Michael. Yesterday, we saw Donald Trump, and he was near Milwaukee, and this was really, I think, the first time in his campaign that he sort of specifically had a message for black voters. Why did it take him until this point? It's been some time.
Right. It was just the time that it was decided by the campaign. I think you're reading, again, way too much into each and everything. And I don't think that there's anything specific. Eventually, he's going to talk about, next will be Hispanic and what's needed in order to help that community as well. It is certainly an issue, the African-American problem in this country that they are unfortunately afflicted by is very serious, and it needs to stop and it needs to be corrected. This violence, the killings, the loss of life, the loss of opportunity, the inability to get a good education because the tenure of teachers or the schools. I mean, again, it's just all a big problem, and it was the time that Mr. Trump decided to make that, that part of his speech.
You called it the African-American problem. So is that the sort of things that you just went through there? Is that what you meant by that?
What I was meaning to say is the problem that exists in the African-American community. It's things that I've been talking about with Pastor Darrell Scott and Pastor Mark Burns and, Omarosa and Bruce Lavelle and the other 100+ members of the Black Evangelical Coalition that exists in our National Diversity Coalition for Trump. We've been talking about the same issue now for well over a year, and actually going back to 2012 when I first met Pastor Scott. It was a conversation that took place between Pastor Scott and Mr. Trump even going back then. So the problem has just exacerbated. It certainly has not minimized, and yesterday was just the time that Mr. Trump felt it was necessary to put it out there.
So, but why then? Because at that point in time, he's near the Milwaukee area that has seen tremendous amount of upset over the weekend following the police-involved shooting and killing of an armed black man. And yet he goes to the suburbs in a county where the population is just 1.2% African American. Why does he choose that audience instead of choosing a different audience to say, look, I am speaking to concerns that your community has?
Because that concern doesn't just exist if you go into the community. He will go into the community and he will speak. It's not the last. It wasn't the first and last time he's going to be speaking about this issue. It's just the first. So whether you're speaking directly or you're speaking at this, as you guys call it, a white crowd, it's irrelevant. There are people that are watching it on the shows. It was covered from start to finish on all 5 major networks, plus cable. So millions of people hopefully got a chance to hear Mr. Trump's message. You see, Mr. Trump doesn't see it the way you do, where, you talk and you classify, this is white, this is black, this is brown, this is yellow. Mr. Trump doesn't see a black America, white America, brown America. He sees the United States of America. And that's the difference between him and Hillary Clinton. What she is, she's the divisive one. It's not him. He sees that the United States of America, and all he wants to do is to ensure that everybody, no matter what race, religion, creed, and color you are, that you have every opportunity to enjoy the American dream. And that's his message. And that's why Mr. Trump is going to do substantially better than what the rest of you think he's going to do amongst the minority communities.
Wouldn't he do better speaking to, for instance, the NAACP, which he chose not to speak to?
Well, maybe in your opinion he would. Maybe he doesn't feel at the time that he was asked that it was the appropriate time. That's not to say that over the next 84 days that he won't address the NAACP or he won't address Hispanic coalitions. I'm sure he will, and he will pass along the same message that he cares about people. He cares about Americans. He doesn't care if you're black, you're white. He's colorblind. See, the liberal, disgusting media, all you want to do is paint the guy out to find a word so that you can go back to the rhetoric of calling him a racist. That's exactly what's going on.
No, that is not what I said. Okay, I did not say that. Here is what I am asking.
Look at the way that you even phrased the question. It's wrong. And I'm telling you again, Donald Trump doesn't see color. He doesn't care. He wants to see every American have the opportunity to live the American dream.
But let me ask you about this. When is a better time to try to broaden your message or even speak to a community than when you were polling at 1% with African Americans? Mitt Romney was at 6%. John McCain at 4%. Those are not great numbers, but they were doing better than he was, even with a campaign that lost.
Right. And my my statement to you is I don't care about those poll numbers. I have some very deep relationships into the African-American community as an example. And trust me, he's doing a whole lot better than 1%. And the same pundits that are giving you this answer are going to be surprised the same way they were when Donald Trump ran away with the nomination at the primary. You're going to all be very surprised when he polls substantially higher than what any of you are giving him credit for.
And just a final question for you, because in your last appearance with CNN, you said, as Mr. Trump's lawyer, you would not let him release his tax returns while he's under audit.
And I stand by that statement. As Mr. Trump's special counsel,
okay,
I will not allow him to release.
My question is, why can't he just tell Americans his tax rate?
It's because then they'll ask him the next question, and it's my opinion and it's my decision to guide Mr. Trump as I see correct and fit, and it's my statement to him that I will not allow him to release the tax return or any of the information on it until the audit is over.
So the next question might be, how much did he donate to charity? I mean, why is that a bad question? Isn't that something you would want to know about a candidate?
I don't think it's a bad question, and I don't think what his tax rate is a bad question, and how much he earns is not a bad question. I'm going to say it again. He's under audit, and I will not allow, as his counsel, I will not allow him to release the information or the tax return.